I literally cannot take it anymore. The boxes, the tape, the sheer volume of physical objects. I am packing up my entire life and my sanity is currently like sealed inside a cardboard box somewhere in the living room. I'm losing my mind.
Wow. Yes, okay. That is the spot.
Babes, we are back.
We made it.
It is Sunday afternoon, and babes, we just got back from North Carolina, and babes, it was amazing. Welcome back, Snark Squad. You already know the chaos is at an all-time high, but we are pushing through.
Pushing through is an understatement. The wine is officially on deck, you guys.
Yes, it is.
And I have to say, after this weekend and the sheer psychological warfare of moving, it is absolutely fundamentally deserved.
Oh, totally.
I do not want to hear a single word from anyone about it being too early. We have earned this glass.
Oh, absolutely not. Because here is a scientifically unproven fact that I live my entire life. But okay, I will defend this to the grave. Wine chemically tastes better on Sundays.
Chemically.
It just does. You cannot replicate the molecular structure of a Sunday afternoon pour on a Tuesday. It is just not the same.
Right, because of the dread.
Exactly. It's the collision of the Sunday scaries meeting liquid courage. The first sip immediately, structurally, fixes your mood. You take that sip, and suddenly, the cardboard fort taking over our apartment doesn't look like an insurmountable architectural failure.
Okay, well, I need to clarify something for you and for the Snark Squad listening right now. This isn't drinking. Okay.
It's not.
No, I need everyone to adjust their terminology.
Right.
This is strictly recovery hydration.
Oh my goodness.
We just survived the wilderness of North Carolina. This is a medicinal requirement for my central nervous system.
It really is.
Frankly, we can debate whether Sunday wine is peak self-care or just excellent, slightly unhinged decision-making. But right now, it is purely survival. My body requires the tannins to process the trauma.
It is self-care. But wait, speaking of survival, I think it is time we reveal to the Snark Squad exactly what happened in the great outdoors.
Do we have to?
We do. Because while I was out there thriving, breathing in the fresh air, existing in a complete euphoric harmony with nature.
Please.
You had a slightly different experience, a slightly more combative relationship with the ecosystem.
Let me just issue a formal, legally binding warning right now. If anyone hears mysterious rhythmic scratching noises during this episode...
Babes, mind your business.
Mind your business. Because I collected approximately 50 mosquito bites this weekend. 50.
It is so bad.
I am not exaggerating for dramatic effect. I took a biological inventory. I am currently composed of 30% blood and 70% maximum strength industrial-grade bug spray. I am a walking hazard.
And I, somehow, by the absolute grace of the universe, escaped with exactly one bite.
Which is infuriating.
Just one. Which leads me to the only logical scientific conclusion. I have premium blood.
Oh, here we go.
The mosquitoes took one look at my cardiovascular system, assessed the vintage, and knew I was completely out of their price range. They simply could not afford the cover charge to dine on this level of excellence.
I reject your hypothesis entirely. Let's look at the actual biology of mosquito attraction, okay? They are drawn to carbon dioxide, heat, and cortisol.
Okay, doctor.
They didn't bypass you because your blood is premium. They bypassed you because they sensed my sheer, unadulterated anxiety radiating like a lighthouse beacon.
I mean, you were very stressed.
I became an all-you-can-eat Michelin star buffet for the entire insect population of the eastern seaboard. They smelled the acute stress of a city person stranded in the woods, and they swarmed. It was a targeted, coordinated tactical strike.
Well, you survived. Barely. Your cortisol levels kept you alive. But we really need to transition to yesterday's Dude Ranch adventure.
I knew this was coming.
Because, babes, you think we might actually be horse girls now?
I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, think we are.
Oh, the delusion begins.
No, listen. Hear me out. I had a full cinematic main character moment out there. You have to picture it. The trails were so profoundly peaceful.
Sure.
The sunshine was filtering perfectly through the canopy of the trees, hitting my face like a built-in celestial ring light.
A ring light, really? Yes. The majestic rhythmic sound of the horses walking, the cadence of the hooves on the dirt, the wind gently blowing through my hair. I felt exactly like the protagonist in a Hallmark romance movie who leaves her high-stress corporate job in the big city and falls deeply in love with a rugged, emotionally unavailable ranch hand.
Oh my God, you are spiraling.
I immediately wanted to rename my horse something whimsical, like Whiskey or Starlight, abandon this entire show, and become a full-time pastoral ranch influencer.
Okay, let's bring it back to objective reality for a second. Because while you were starring in your own imaginary, soft-focus, romantic drama, I was literally fighting the laws of physics to stay alive.
You were so stiff.
First of all, nobody adequately prepares you for how terrifyingly tall horses are. You look at them on television and they seem manageable.
They are big animals.
Then you get up there into the saddle and the altitude completely changes. My ears popped, the air got thin, and trying to look confident for Instagram, physical agony.
You look terrified in the photos.
I was gripping that saddle with an unprecedented white-knuckled level of determination. My core was engaged in ways I didn't know were anatomically possible. Let's provide the actual conclusion here. Horseback riding is significantly harder than the movies make it look. It is a brutal, full-body core workout disguised as leisure.
Okay, you are entirely leaving out the absolute best part. Snark Squad, I have to force the truth out into the light right now.
Don't do this.
Reveal it. Tell them what actually happened on the trail.
I almost fell off the horse.
You didn't just almost fall. You had this tiny, silent, completely internalized panic.
It was horrifying.
And the physical recovery was the most profoundly awkward display of human desperation I have ever witnessed. You were basically hanging off the side of the animal at a 45-degree angle, defying gravity, trying to subtly shimmy back into the center of the saddle without alerting the trail guide up front.
And you didn't help.
I was completely incapacitated by laughter. I couldn't breathe.
We are supposed to be a team. You just sat there living out your equestrian fantasy, laughing maliciously while I was suspended between life and a very dusty, humiliating death.
It was a character-building moment for you. You had to find your inner equestrian strength. You had to self-soothe.
Babes, I am a glam baddie. Let's get that on the official record. I am built for brunches, sangrias, and air-conditioned environments, not surviving the untamed Wild West. My survival skills are highly specialized and tailored to navigating a crowded happy hour to get the bartender's attention, not maneuvering a literal beast of burden through an unpaved forest.
Well, reality is unfortunately returning with a vengeance because speaking of survival, we have exactly 2 weeks left until moving day.
Don't say it out loud.
2 weeks, 14 days until we have to fundamentally relocate our entire existence.
If you vocalize the timeline, it makes the deadline real.
I have to. I am actively spiraling over the apartment looking like a cardboard fort. There are boxes everywhere.
It's bad.
It feels like we are living in a maze constructed by a hostile architect. Every room is just a gauntlet of packing peanuts and regret.
What I want to analytically question is the sheer logistical failure of our household inventory.
Oh, boy.
Can you explain to me, with your premium blood and your main character energy, how we collectively own 12 highly specific emotional support water bottles, but absolute 0 rolls of functional packing tape?
It doesn't make sense.
How does the math work on that? How did we prioritize hydration vessels over basic adhesive infrastructure?
The math is broken. And honestly, moving is so deeply triggering on an emotional level. Like, why does it always feel like you are packing up your entire personality into cardboard?
It really does.
You start out fine, packing plates, and then suddenly you find a random faded ticket stub from 3 years ago at the bottom of a drawer, and suddenly you are having an existential crisis on the floor of the closet, mourning the passage of time.
Because we are hoarders of memories, and physical objects act as anchors to our past selves. But listen, we need to make a solemn promise right here, right now, to the Snark Squad.
Okay, promise what?
This time, we will be different. We will strictly, obsessively label every single box. No mysteries.
Yes.
No vague Sharpie scribbles that say miscellaneous living room nonsense.
Yeah.
We will have an itemized manifest.
Well, 100%. Highly organized, color-coded by room, a complete spreadsheet system.
Right. We are absolutely going to end up throwing random spatulas, winter shoes, and half-empty shampoo bottles into a heavy-duty black garbage bag at 2 in the morning the night before the movers arrive, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's an inevitable collapse of discipline. But babes, enough about our own trivial survival stories.
I see.
We have a much more intense life or death survival situation to discuss.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the absolute nightmare that is currently unfolding. Let's get into From Season 4, Episode 8, Heavy is the Head.
Let's do it. Because this episode, it is the absolute definition of a psychological pressure cooker.
Oh, completely.
We are picking up the morning after the complete, unmitigated disaster at Colony House. And what I find so fascinating about this specific hour of television is that while it lacks the massive fiery explosions or the chaotic monster chases of previous weeks, it is densely packed with psychological warfare.
And deeply shady decisions.
Exactly.
Yes.
Deeply shady decisions and people just absolutely losing their grip on Objective reality.
Completely losing it. Let's set the stage for the Snark Squad because the tone of this episode is so heavy, hence the title. We are reacting to the morning after the night before. The adrenaline has worn off.
Everyone is exhausted.
Completely exhausted, deeply traumatized, and frankly making some highly questionable panic-driven choices. Let's jump right into the first major mess that had me screaming at the screen. The Roger roast.
Whoa, the colony house mess. We need to lay out the chronological facts of what just happened to this poor man because it is staggering.
It is so messed up.
Roger has officially died twice in 24 hours. First, he gets violently ripped apart by the nightmare dolls in episode 5, horrific.
Awful.
Then, Sophia, who we know is harboring some deeply dark energy, uses a chicken egg, drops her own blood into it, and places it on his chest to reanimate him like a weaponized zombie.
Ugh, the egg scene.
He smashes his way through Colony House, completely bypassing the talismans entirely, which is a massive lore drop. And then Elgin finally puts him down by stabbing him with a totem from the settlement.
Right.
So what is the town's response? Boyd and Acosta decide the only logical administrative next step is to literally barbecue Roger's dead body on the front lawn so he doesn't respawn for a third time.
I was physically covering my eyes. The absolute fundamental disrespect to this man's legacy. Think about Roger's last 24 hours. He dies a horrible, agonizing death.
Yeah.
Then his corpse becomes a makeshift omelet station for Sophia, which, by the way, the sheer creepy factor of her standing over his body, dropping dark blood into a raw chicken egg, repulsive, disgusting.
It was nasty.
He is forced to attack his friends, he dies again, and then instead of a funeral, he gets unceremoniously set on fire on the front lawn like a pile of autumn leaves. There was no eulogy. There was just lighter fluid.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I am looking at this from a purely analytical strategic standpoint, and this needs to be the new official town policy.
What?
Babes, they need to stop burying people in a cursed supernatural town where the dead categorically refuse to stay dead. Burn everyone immediately.
Oh my God.
The graveyard is completely full anyway. Acosta even tells Boyd they're running out of physical real estate to put bodies in the ground, so just enact a mandatory immediate cremation protocol. You cannot have biological material lying around for the town to use against you.
Okay, from a clinical perspective, it makes total sense. Fire purifies. But wait, there's something even shadier happening with the mechanics of this town that nobody is talking about, and we need to unpack it.
Which part?
Let's rewind to the last episode. When Kenny tried to use the totem on the smiley monster, the monsters knew exactly what he was doing. They positioned themselves strategically to block all of Kenny's exits.
They anticipated the attack.
Exactly. How did they know the plan?
This is the most crucial detail. Let's look at the mechanism of information flow in this town. Sophia is the one who actively asked Boyd about the plan to kill one of the monsters. She inquired about the strategy.
She did.
We have a mole, and no one is connecting the dots. Sophia is feeding the monsters their play-by-play defensive strategy. And speaking of Sophia's incredibly shady behavior, she casually asked Boyd and Donna if the totems worked on the creatures.
So sneaky.
Boyd, completely defeated, says no, the totems didn't work on the classic monsters. And if you watch the actress's performance, you can literally see a wave of visible muscular relief wash over her face.
She was so relieved. She basically sighed because let's explain the mechanism here for the Snark Squad because it's vital.
Break it down.
The talismans, the stones they hang in the windows, they don't work on the dolls or on reanimated Roger. But the totems, the wooden carvings, do work on Roger and the dolls. But then, conversely, the totems do not work on the classic smiling monsters.
Right.
It's like a twisted high-stakes game of rock, paper, scissors with magical artifacts, and Sophia is systematically trying to figure out the exact limits of the human's arsenal.
It's brilliant. If we create an analogy here, think of the town's magic like a complex software operating system. The talismans are your basic firewall. They stop external hackers, which are the regular classic monsters, from entering the network of the houses.
I love this analogy.
But the totems are like root access malware. They bypass the firewall entirely because they are coded from the same ancient corrupted source code as the nightmare dolls and the magic that animated Roger. Sophia's basically doing penetration testing on their defenses. She needs to know if the humans have discovered a patch for the monsters.
That analogy is so perfect. It perfectly explains why the rules keep shifting. The town upgrades its software. But we have to pivot away from the lawn barbecue, because while Roger is getting cremated, Fatima is undergoing the most terrifying, inexplicable medical crisis I have ever seen on television.
We absolutely must talk about Fatima's zombie vitals and the ethical catfight happening at the clinic. Let's lay out the clinical
It's
facts.
so gross.
Fatima reveals her stomach to Boyd and Donna, and it is a horrific sight. It is covered in these dark, black, sprawling varicose veins. It looks necrotic, so they immediately rush her to the clinic.
Naturally.
Christy, the medical professional, checks her vitals, and medically speaking, based on every textbook in existence, Fatima is a walking corpse. Her heart rate is sitting between 16 to 19 beats per minute. Her blood pressure is 53/33.
16 beats per minute. For context, Snark Squad, a normal resting heart rate for a healthy adult is somewhere between 60 to 100 beats per minute.
Exactly. Let's explain why that is so horrifying. At a blood pressure of 53/33, she has virtually no hydrostatic force pushing oxygenated blood through her body. Her organs should be failing.
She should be dead.
She should be in profound hypoxic shock. Her brain shouldn't be receiving enough oxygen to remain conscious, let alone speak and walk around. So, Christy rightly, logically concludes that Fatima is essentially dead. Her body is just refusing to acknowledge it.
It's terrifying.
But Marielle chimes in with a wildly controversial tactical take. She thinks that Fatima's new ability to mind control the smiley monster, which she used to save Kenny's life last episode, is actually a secret weapon. Christy thinks the town is just tricking them, per usual, creating a false sense of security.
And what does Ellis do?
Ellis just packs a bag, throws a massive tantrum, and cusses everyone out.
I was absolutely spiraling over Fatima's trauma. Hasn't this poor girl been through enough psychological and physical torture?
So much.
She just birthed a literal supernatural monster. She was forced to eat rotten, infested crops to survive, and now she has a 16 BPM heart rate and black spider veins creeping across her abdomen. Let the girl rest.
She's going through it.
And honestly, I totally fundamentally side with Christy on this. This town is pure evil. The fans have brought up the story of the Golem of Prague. And remember, Fatima actually told that exact folklore story to the kids last episode.
Let's unpack that folklore because it's the key to this entire scene.
Yes. For those who don't know, the Golem of Prague is a creature from Jewish folklore, created from clay and animated by magic to protect the people from persecution.
Right.
But the tragedy of the golem is that while it starts as a protector, it eventually becomes too powerful, too violent, and too uncontrollable, and its creator is forced to destroy it because it becomes a danger to the very people it was built to save.
Wow.
The town always does this. It makes you think you're doing something good. It gives you a sliver of hope or a new power right before it absolutely destroys you with it. Fatima is becoming the golem.
That is a phenomenal thematic read, and I completely agree that the town weaponizes hope. However, I am going to have to strongly disagree with you and Christy regarding the immediate strategy.
Oh, you know why?
First, I am dragging Ellis. Ellis packing his little duffel bag with zero medical knowledge, no destination in mind, and just dropping F-bombs at the medical staff is peak useless energy.
It really was unhelpful.
It demonstrates a complete lack of adaptive reasoning. What are you doing, Ellis? You cannot outcurse a magical systemic infection. But controversially, looking at the pure game theory of their situation, I am absolutely siding with Marielle.
What? Wait, pause. How can you possibly side with weaponizing a mysterious necrotic infection? She is literally rotting from the inside out.
Because you have to look at the bigger picture. You are trapped in a completely hostile nightmare realm where you are hunted for sport every single night by entities that cannot be killed by conventional means.
I mean, true.
If my bestie suddenly develops the supernatural power to mind control the apex predators of this ecosystem, we are monetizing that power immediately. We are marching into the tunnels. Use the zombie vein.
Oh, you're unhinged.
We finally, for the first time in 4 seasons, have a defensive strategy. And Christy wants to shut it down because it violates human medical ethics and it's creepy. Babes, you live in a demon forest. Human medical ethics left the chat 4 years ago. Embrace the creepy and use the tactical advantage.
But at what cost to her humanity? She feels cold inside. She tells them she thinks she's turning into one of them. There's a massive theory circulating right now that she might be transforming into the kimono lady.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or that this physiological breakdown is the physical toll of her body acting as a vessel for whatever dark magic controls the monsters. If she can control Smiley, what is the mechanism there? It's a two-way street. What's stopping Smiley or the entity behind him from completely taking over her mind? You are basically inviting the malware into the mainframe.
It is a massive risk, I concede that. But it's a risk they have to take because the alternative is sitting in a house waiting to be slaughtered.
Fair point.
Which brings us perfectly to the next group of people, violently, aggressively disagreeing about risk management and structural integrity.
Yeah.
Jade and Boyd, the great landscaping drama of Season 4.
Oh my gosh, the temper tantrum heard around the town. So here are the foundational facts on this scene. Jade, using his brilliant analytical mind, builds a literal physical science fair model of the underground tunnels using pots, pans, tubes, and kitchen supplies.
It was so detailed.
He creates a topographical map. He's so proud of it, you can see the intellectual validation on his face. But Boyd, acting as the sheriff and the military commander, takes one look at it and rejects the entire plan. Why?
Tell them.
Because there is only one exit in the bone chamber. If they go down there to retrieve the children's bones and the monsters wake up or block the door, it creates what tactical experts call a fatal funnel. They will be trapped and slaughtered with no retreat.
Basic military tactics.
Boyd demands a plan B, a secondary exit route. And Jade. Jade throws an epic, childish temper tantrum, literally smashes his arts and crafts project to pieces, and then, amidst his rage, has an absolute epiphany.
The bottle tree. The spatial relationship.
Yes. Jade's genius breaks through the tantrum. He realizes, based on the coordinates, that the magical, teleporting bottle tree sits directly over the root ceiling of the underground burial chamber.
Such a good realization.
So his brand new, brilliant, improvised plan is to tie a massive rope to the tree, hook it to the bumper of the rusty, decades-old town pickup truck, and rip the magic tree out of the earth by its roots to create a vertical escape hatch. And Boyd just looks at him, utterly exhausted, and screams, "Landscaping is not a plan."
We have to analyze the sheer desperation of this moment. Meanwhile, while Jade is playing Bob the Builder with magical flora, Boyd is barely holding on to his own sanity.
He is losing it.
We need to unpack his psychological state, because Boyd is actively hallucinating. He is hearing phantom gunshots echoing in his ears. He's seeing the ghost of Father Khatri, who is clearly acting as a manifestation of Boyd's own internal, guilt-ridden conscience.
So sad.
And the worst part, the absolute lowest moment for him, he walks into the woods and sees a horrific, predictive vision. He sees Kenny, Tabitha, Jade, Donna, and his son Ellis all lying dead on the ground, brutally murdered, with his dead wife Abby standing over them, coughing up blood.
It fundamentally broke my heart for Boyd. I was screaming at the television. He is literally seeing his loyal deputy and his son's wife choking on their own blood. He is suffering from severe, untreated, compounded PTSD.
It's heartbreaking.
His hand tremors, which he fought so hard to conceal, are back in full force. He even goes to Christy in a moment of pure vulnerability and begs for a pill, a Band-Aid, a sedative, anything to chemically stop the vision so he can think clearly, and she has nothing to give him.
Nothing at all.
I completely 100% understand why Boyd is paralyzed by the fear of getting more people killed. He couldn't save his wife Abby, he couldn't save Tian Shen in that horrific barn scene, and now Jade wants to send the most crucial members of their community into a literal subterranean death trap. The psychological burden of his badge is crushing him.
Okay, I have deep, profound empathy for Boyd's trauma. The man is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. But I have to roast Jade's tantrum for a second before we validate his intelligence.
Oh, please do.
Not him completely smashing his little pot and pan project just because the sheriff asked for a secondary extraction route. He acted like a spoiled toddler who didn't get a blue ribbon at the middle school science fair. It was the shattering of his ego.
It was so dramatic.
But, and it is a massive but, looking at the physics and the logic of their environment, I actually agree with Jade's plan.
You agree with the vehicular landscaping. You think a Ford pickup is going to defeat ancient magic.
Babes, yes. Look at their resources.
Yeah.
Y'all are trapped in a demon forest. Ripping up a teleporting bottle tree with a Chevy pickup is literally the most logical, physically viable plan you have at your disposal at this point.
I mean, I guess.
You don't have military-grade excavation equipment. You don't have dynamite. You have a truck, a rope, a rudimentary understanding of leverage, and sheer desperation. And I have to say, the acting in this scene is a masterclass.
Oh, totally.
David Alpay as Jade and Harold Perrineau as Boyd are incredible. The tension, the screaming match, the clash between logic and trauma, it's phenomenal television. Khatri's ghost even drops the hardest truth bomb on Boyd. It's not about saving everyone, it's about saving as many as you can. Boyd has to accept the reality of casualty risk if they are ever going to break the cycle and escape.
I get it, but it's so much pressure. You are asking a man who blames himself for every death to willingly send people to die? Heavy as the head, exactly the episode title. The crown of leadership is destroying him. But if we want to talk about someone whose mind is completely structurally breaking under the pressure, we have to talk about Henry's acid trip delusion.
This was undeniably the most emotionally devastating part of the episode. The psychological cruelty of this scene is unmatched. Let's look at the facts in this setup.
It broke my heart.
Henry is deeply struggling with his alcoholism, trying to cope with the reality of the town. He goes to Bacta at the diner, practically begging for menial work. Chopping vegetables, cleaning, just to keep his hands busy, distract his mind and stay sober.
He just wants to help.
While he's mechanically chopping vegetables, the diner jukebox suddenly powers on and plays Joni Mitchell's song Blue, which we know from the deep lore established in Season 3 was Miranda's absolute favorite song, the exact tape that was stuck in Henry's car deck for years.
The jukeboxes in this town are completely sinister entities. They are not just playing random music, they are highly targeted psychological weapons. They always taunt the residents with their deepest traumas.
Exactly, it's an auditory trigger. So the music initiates a profound hallucination. Henry blinks, and he suddenly finds himself entirely removed from the dirty, claustrophobic diner.
The hospital room.
He is in a bright, impeccably clean, sterile, sunlit hospital room. He's sitting in a comfortable bed. And sitting next to him is Victor, but it's a completely normal Victor. He's wearing a tailored suit, his hair is neat, he speaks eloquently.
It was so jarring to see him like that.
He doesn't carry the visible crushing trauma of surviving for 40 years alone in a monster-infested forest. And this idealized Victor introduces Henry to his grandson, Sebastian. Victor casually mentions that Eloise is alive, she's a successful school teacher, and she's currently on her way to visit them.
I was absolutely sobbing. Robert Joy's performance in this scene is transcendent. It is award-worthy. The sheer, unadulterated tragedy of Henry seeing the life he should have had.
A life that was stolen.
A life where his family wasn't destroyed by a cursed town, where he got to be a grandfather, where his son grew up safe and successful. And then the absolute guttural, wailing scream when the illusion shatters, and he is violently ripped back to the grimy diner, falling to his knees and begging Miranda's grave to take him back to the dream. It was devastating. He wants the delusion so badly, he is willing to surrender his mind to it.
But we have to look past the emotional tragedy and analyze the sinister, calculated manipulation happening here. The doctor who walks into this hospital vision tells Henry a very specific lie.
Oh, the doctor.
He tells Henry that he is currently in a coma because Miranda gave him some bad acid years ago, and everything he is experiencing, the town, the monsters, the horror, is just a highly detailed, drug-induced dream.
It's such a gaslight.
And the doctor gives him a prescription. To wake up, break the coma, and stay with his perfect family, Henry has to eliminate the anchor. Babes, that doctor is the man in yellow in a wig, or at least it is a psychological projection of his power.
It is so incredibly twisted. We saw the man in yellow drop his own blood into Henry's teacup a few episodes ago, and now we are seeing the mechanism of that infection. He is literally controlling Henry's perception of reality from the inside.
Exactly. Let's break down the mechanics of this psychological warfare. The town, operating via the man in yellow, is trying to trick a traumatized, grieving, vulnerable father into murdering his own son.
Filicide.
By convincingly framing Victor as just an anchor that is tethering Henry to a bad trip, he is gently pushing Henry toward filicide. It is the exact same operational tactic the town used on Sarah back in Season 1 when the voices told her she had to kill young Ethan to save everyone and go home.
They prey on hope.
The town uses your own truth or your most deeply desired outcome to deceive you into committing horrific, unforgivable acts. The delusion isn't just a side effect, the delusion is lethal. It is a weaponized narrative.
Lethal. And the terrifying part is that it's working. Henry is seriously contemplating it because the pain of his actual reality is simply too much to bear. And speaking of parents who are completely fundamentally unable to handle the horrific reality of this town, let's pivot to Tabitha and Victor's apocalypse survival masterclass.
Tabitha is operating in a state of full, unyielding denial. Let's look at the facts of the scene. Victor is out by his hideout in the Pete's truck, and he is practically preparing young Ethan for the end of the world.
He is teaching him.
He sits the boy down and tells him that the boy in white gave him a specific set of survival rules after the massive massacre 40 years ago. Rule number 1, find a secure source of food, hence the mountain of canned peaches. And he practically demonstrates for Ethan how to smash them open with a rock.
Very practical.
Rule number 2, pretend you aren't alone to protect your mind from the isolation. He shows Ethan the incredibly creepy dolls that he meticulously dressed in his dead mother and sister's clothing, explaining that talking to them keeps the mind anchored.
So creepy, but it kept him sane.
And right before Victor can impart Rule 3, The final piece of wisdom: Tabitha storms in, aggressively shuts the entire conversation down, and promises Ethan, "You will never be alone."
Look, I am going to try to defend Tabitha here for just a moment because her maternal instinct is just screaming, and I understand the biology of that. What mother wants to stand by and watch her 8-year-old son take practical notes on how to survive as a feral orphan after everyone he loves gets brutally murdered by smiling demons?
I mean, true.
She wants to protect him from the psychological weight of that trauma. She wants to preserve his childhood. But even trying to be empathetic, I have to admit, it is getting incredibly hard to watch her blatantly lie to this kid's face. Ethan has seen too much, he has lived through too much, he knows the reality of their situation.
Tabitha is acting like the ultimate delusional helicopter mom in the middle of a literal apocalypse. She is projecting her own inability to cope onto her son. If you look at Ethan's behavior, he is actually handling the situation highly pragmatically.
He is so calm.
He calmly states that Jade and Boyd's plan will probably fail, because historically, everything in this town fails. He's analyzing the data, but Tabitha physically cutting Victor off, I was screaming at my screen.
Let the man speak.
Let the man speak. Victor successfully survived in a demon-infested hellscape for 40 years as a child. Tabitha, you barely survived a brief trip to a lighthouse. What is Rule 3, Victor? What is the actionable intelligence?
I know. It is infuriating. We have been waiting for 4 entire seasons for Victor to finally drop some coherent, actionable intelligence, and she interrupts him before the final, most crucial rule. It is classic. From writing, deliberately hiding vital information so it can be revealed at the worst possible, most dramatic moment later down the line.
But Tabitha's fragile delusion of safety gets completely and violently shattered immediately in the final, most terrifying segment of the episode. We have to discuss Sophia's sneaky era and the horrific RV confrontation.
I have full-body chills just thinking about the sequence of events here. Let's lay out the precise facts for the Snark squad. Sophia, who we now absolutely know is the man in yellow in disguise, goes into full tactical stealth mode.
Stealth mode activated.
First, she sneaks into Boyd's room at the post office, completely trashing it to retrieve and steal the yellow suit back. Then, she sneaks right past the hanging talismans into Tabitha's house and systematically steals all the crayon drawings Ethan made to remember his family.
We need to pause and acknowledge that this is a massive lore drop. The man in yellow can bypass the talismans completely. The physical magical protections that the town relies on mean absolutely nothing to him. He operates on a higher permission level within the town's software.
Exactly. The firewall is useless against him, so Tabitha walks into her house and the phone rings. She answers it, and it's the voice of her dead baby, Thomas.
Sick.
The voice tells her to go to the RV in the woods or he will hurt her living children. She goes to the RV, the exact same vehicle her family crashed in season 1, the site of their original trauma, and the man in yellow is waiting for her. He is wearing his signature yellow suit, and he has meticulously plastered the outside of the RV with all of Ethan's stolen drawings.
And he is terrifyingly polite. That is the scariest, most unsettling part of his behavior. He isn't snarling. He isn't covered in blood like the classic monsters. He is charismatic. He is charming. He speaks like a gentleman.
It is pure, refined psychological torture. He gloats to her about keeping Jim's tooth as a souvenir. He reveals that he was the mysterious voice on the radio way back in season 1, telling Jim that his wife shouldn't be digging that hole in the basement.
The mastermind.
And Tabitha is standing in the exact physical spot where her husband was brutally murdered. While this ancient demon plays besties with her, he literally takes her hand, looks into her eyes, and kisses her hand like a suitor.
It's the dialogue in this scene that is so crucial to analyze. He tells her, very calmly, that he won't kill her yet because she and Jade are doing so well. And then he drops the ultimate paralyzing mind game. He says that nobody in the history of the town has ever tried digging up the children's bones before.
Which is crazy.
He admits it's a new variable. He says it might be the key to freeing the children. Or Arian, he warns, it might unleash a type of suffering you can't even begin to imagine.
I was completely paralyzed by fear. Is he bluffing? Does he want to stop them from digging up the bones because it will actually sever his power and defeat him? Or is he telling the absolute truth and moving those bones will trigger a massacre worse than anything Victor ever survived?
This is the ultimate debate of the season. On one hand, you can argue that he seems almost excited by the novelty of their plan. He clearly states that they are about to do something they've never done before in any previous cycle of victims. He likes the entertainment value.
But what's your take?
My analytical psychological take. The man in yellow is actually terrified. Think about his methodology. He goes entirely out of his way to lure Tabitha into the woods, play on her deepest maternal fears using Ethan's drawings, and plant a massive seed of doubt in her mind.
He could have just killed her.
If he really truly wanted them to suffer the apocalyptic consequences of digging up the bones, he wouldn't warn her. He would just let them do it, sit back, and watch the chaos unfold. He is actively trying to psychologically manipulate Tabitha into running back and abandoning Jade's landscaping plan, because the plan might actually work.
Oh, that makes so much sense. The mechanism of his torture is deception. He uses the truth to deceive. He wants Tabitha to run back to Boyd completely panicked and say, "Stop the truck, stop the plan, it's going to unleash hell."
Exactly.
He is using her as an emotional pawn to halt their progress from the inside. Babes, this show is going to give me a literal ulcer. The stress is physiological at this point.
And we still have 2 episodes left in the season. The pressure is astronomical, which means it is the perfect time for us to transition to our first segment of the day to relieve some of this tension. Snark Squad, welcome to our favorite game. Absolutely not.
Yes. The concept of this segment is simple. We each pick the exact specific moment from this week's episode where we would have immediately packed our bags, left the room, hidden under a bed, cried, or simply accepted our fate and let the forest take us. I will go first.
The floor is yours. Let's hear the surrender.
My absolutely not moment is Christy reading Fatima's vitals in the clinic.
Elliot.
If I am sitting in a makeshift, poorly lit clinic surviving off a diet of canned peaches and a nurse looks me in the eye and tells me that my resting heart rate is 16 beats per minute, my blood pressure is practically 0, and I am medically, legally a corpse.
What are you doing?
I am laying down on the linoleum floor and simply returning to the earth. I am closing my eyes, folding my hands neatly over my chest, and clocking out for good. Absolutely not.
Just giving up.
I am not dealing with varicose demon veins. I am not dealing with supernatural hypothermia. I am not turning into a folklore golem. Cancel my subscription to Life. I am done participating in the narrative.
I mean, valid.
Yeah.
Honestly, fighting a supernatural biological takeover while pregnant does sound deeply exhausting. But my absolutely not moment requires slightly more physical labor, which is why I fundamentally reject it.
What's yours?
My moment is Jade's extraction plan. If I am sitting in that diner, surviving purely off sheer delusion and Bacchus cooking, and someone tells me that the official sheriff-approved plan to save my life involves me willingly climbing down into a claustrophobic dirt tunnel filled with hibernating, grinning demons, while a rusty 30-year-old town pickup truck tries to pull a magical teleporting tree out of the ground directly above my head. Absolutely not. I will stay in the diner, I will sit in the booth and eat Bacchus pancakes until the end of time.
But you'd be trapped.
You want me to go tactical spelunking in a demon mass grave with only one exit, while Boyd, the man leading the mission, is actively hallucinating dead people in the woods and shaking, no thank you. I am built for brunches and bottomless mimosas, not tactical subterranean extraction missions.
But wait, think about the logic. If you stay in the diner, the monsters are going to eventually breach the doors and get you anyway. When the massacre happens, you have to participate in the escape plan if you want to live.
I reject the premise of the binary choice. I will simply go find Victor and hide in the peach truck. I refuse to rely on the horsepower of a 1980s Chevy and a frayed rope to save me from eternal damnation. Your absolutely not is based on biological defeatism. Mine is just highly practical actuarial risk assessment.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move smoothly to segment 2, which pairs perfectly with evaluating these terrible decisions, the survival confidence rankings. We are grading the major players this week on our highly scientific reality TV metrics.
Let's start right at the top with the sheriff. Boyd. Intelligence. High, he understands strategy. Common sense. Also very high, because he instantly recognizes a fatal death trap tunnel when he sees one and demands a plan B.
True.
But his chaos level, babes, his chaos level is a 0, and I mean that tragically. He is suppressing every single emotion, holding his entire psyche together by a single, frayed thread of sanity while actively hallucinating his dead wife. Survival instincts, 10 out of 10, main character energy, off the charts. He's the anchor of the town, even if the anchor is rusting.
Totally agree. The man needs a vacation he will never get. Next up on the board, Jade. Intelligence, 10 out of 10, undeniable. The man builds a perfectly scaled topographical map out of kitchen pots and PVC pipes.
Amundsen.
0 out of 10. Throwing a violent temper tantrum, screaming at Kenny, and physically smashing your only map because the sheriff reasonably asked for a backup extraction route. His chaos level is absolutely off the charts. He operates purely on manic energy. Main character energy is a solid 8, but realistically he needs a nap, a juice box, and a timeout.
What about Tabitha? Let's rank the matriarch. Intelligence, moderate. Common sense. Let's give her a generous 2 out of 10 this week.
A 2. That feels harsh.
It is scientifically accurate. Survival instincts, -5. Babes, why are you walking to the notorious murder RV, completely alone in the woods, when the literal ancient demon on the phone tells you to go there?
It is a bad idea.
It defies every instinct of self-preservation, and then she cuts off Victor's survival rules. She is relying purely on blind mom adrenaline and zero actual strategy. Chaos level, high, purely due to her absolute staggering denial of her terrifying reality.
Okay, you make a compelling argument. The RV walk was deeply unserious survival behavior. Let's rank Victor. Intelligence is unique, highly specialized to the environment, but common sense, 10 out of 10, perfect score.
A 10.
He has canned peaches, he has a designated rock for opening them, and he has a plan. He is fully acknowledging the reality of the impending massacre while everyone else plans a heist. He is the only man making structural sense in this entire town. Survival instincts are a perfect 10 because he lived through this exact scenario once already. Chaos level is a steady, low, manageable hum.
And finally, we have to rank Henry. Henry. Common sense is plummeting rapidly. Survival instincts are entirely compromised by grief. Chaos level, dangerously high.
Dangerously high.
Why? Because my man is actively preparing to catch a first-degree murder charge because a hallucinated ghost doctor in a wig told him to forcibly disconnect his anchor.
Okay.
He's a massive liability to the group.
He is a liability, but he's a deeply tragic liability. My heart aches for him. Okay, let's lighten the mood with segment 3. Snark Squad, welcome to the From Neighborhood Watch meeting.
The concept here is simple. Imagine the town decides to hold a mundane, typical community HOA meeting right after the events of this episode, trying to conduct normal neighborhood business amidst the active apocalypse.
Yes. I will set the scene. We are all gathered in the church pews. Boyd is standing at the front pulpit, aggressively rubbing his temples, actively fighting off a hallucination of Father Cautry. I am going to play the deeply delusional resident who fundamentally refuses to acknowledge the danger and thinks everything is completely normal.
And I'm going to play the exasperated resident sitting in the back row who has completely lost the plot of what is actually dangerous and is focusing on the wrong issues entirely. Go ahead, take the floor.
Hi. Yes, point of order. I just wanted to say to the community that I think we are all vastly overreacting about the diner jukebox mysteriously playing Joni Mitchell on a loop. It's probably just a Spotify algorithm glitch with the town's Wi-Fi router. We should just unplug it for 30 seconds. And honestly, regarding Fatima's black stomach veins, I saw that exact aesthetic on TikTok last week. It's just a new edgy tattoo trend. Very cool, very avant-garde. I really think we should be pivoting our focus to allocating the community garden plots for the spring.
Excuse me, Brenda, but can we please address the actual pressing issue here? The smell. Whoever decided to barbecue Roger on the front lawn of Colony House has completely ruined the entire neighborhood vibe. I was trying to read my novel on the porch, and the scent of burnt flannel and singed hair is permanently clinging to my freshly washed laundry. Can we please enact a strict zoning law against open-air cremations before 5 in the evening? It's a complete health hazard and an eyesore.
Well, maybe if you invested in some better fabric softener.
Brenda, I don't have fabric softener. I have a jagged rock and a dented can of peaches. But listen, I need to officially interrupt this meeting to present a formal conspiracy theory to the board. Has anyone in this entire town noticed that Sophia has been wearing the exact same grandma sweater and skirt combination for 5 consecutive weeks?
Oh my God.
In this oppressive humidity, she doesn't sweat. She doesn't change. She is obviously a demon entity. I demand a full, immediate wardrobe inspection of her closet.
The wardrobe inspection, honestly, someone should have logically noticed the outfit repeating by now. It is a massive red flag.
It's the most glaring visual clue. But alas, the residents of Fromville are too busy fighting for their lives to properly critique fashion choices. Let's move to our final, highly anticipated segment. Segment 4, the Soft Girl Apocalypse Kit.
My absolute favorite thought experiment.
The rules for the Snark Squad are simple. We are building our ideal survival kits, completely and intentionally ignoring all practical, logical survival rules. You get 1 comfort snack, 1 designated drink, 1 luxury item, 1 person from the show you would trust to keep you alive, and 1 completely impractical item you would absolutely refuse to leave behind. You go first.
Okay, meticulously preparing for the apocalypse. My comfort snack is a family-sized box of extra toasted Cheez-Its. Not the regular ones, the extra toasted ones for the structural crunch.
Nice.
My drink is a perfectly chilled iced matcha latte with high-quality oat milk, and yes, I absolutely expect the monsters to maintain the town's ice machine. My luxury item is my pure silk pillowcase. Because monsters or not, we are actively preventing fine lines, wrinkles, and hair breakage.
Okay, prioritizing anti-aging.
The person I trust is Victor because he has the massive stockpile of peaches and the camouflaged hideout truck. And my completely impractical item, a full 12-step Korean skincare routine housed in a plug-in beauty mini fridge. I will be glowing and hydrated during the massacre.
Let me analyze this kit. You're going to die within 45 minutes of arrival. A mini fridge. Where are you plugging that in? The electricity in the house literally comes from wires that go nowhere. It's a magical illusion.
It has a heavy-duty battery pack. I have prepared for the infrastructure failure. What is your kit, Mr. Glam Baddie?
My comfort snack is a premium, highly curated charcuterie board. Cured meats, artisanal cheeses, fig jam, Marcona almonds, the works. My drink is a massive condensation-covered pitcher of our Sunday sangria. My luxury item is a battery-operated, high-end stainless steel espresso machine.
Oh, wow.
Because if I am forced to run from Smiley through the woods at midnight, I require a serious caffeine rush to maintain my sprint speed. The person I trust. Controversially, I'm picking Jade.
Jade. Why on earth would you pick Jade? He just smashed his only map.
Because he is intellectually smart enough to figure out the physics of an escape plan, but mostly because we would just sit on the porch of Colony House and talk absolute, unfiltered trash about everyone else's terrible survival strategies. The banter and the judging would be top tier.
That is actually so true.
And my completely impractical item is a professional-grade ring light. Because if I am going to eventually get cornered by an ancient demon in the woods, my lighting is going to be incredibly correct. I will look snatched for the afterlife.
Okay, I have to completely roast this strategy based on the town's mechanics. Your espresso machine is going to be grinding coffee beans at 3 in the morning. It is louder than a 2-stroke lawnmower. You are basically ringing a metallic dinner bell for the monsters. You might as well shout, "Hey guys over here, pulling a double shot of espresso, come get me."
And Victor's going to inevitably stab you with his peach-opening rock when you try to aggressively steal his canned fruit to pair with your extra toasted Cheez-Its. Let's face reality, we are both entirely hopelessly doomed.
We really are. But honestly, I wouldn't want to perish in a terrifying demon town with anyone else.
Agreed. We'd go out complaining about the humidity and the lack of Wi-Fi.
Snark Squad, we need to hear from you. This recap was a massive journey, and we have crucial questions for the comment section. Sound off below. We want to hear your theories.
Number 1. Have you ever been horseback riding? And did you have a majestic, sun-dappled romance movie moment? Or were you a panicking glam baddie holding on to the saddle for dear life while your ears popped?
Number 2. Based on our highly scientific confidence rankings, who do you genuinely think will survive the longest in the world of From, and who is the biggest liability?
Number 3. Are mosquitoes personally targeting me? Or is my high-functioning anxiety actually just a delicious Michelin star flavor profile for insects? Be brutally honest.
And finally, what deeply impractical, ridiculous luxury item would you absolutely refuse to leave behind in a supernatural apocalypse? Let us know.
Babes, as always, thank you so much for joining us on the Snark side. If you survived this emotional roller coaster with us, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and please share the episode with another Snarker to help the community grow. It means the absolute world to us.
It really does. Next week is episode 9. And according to the previews, it is going to be completely unhinged. We are locking our doors, meticulously hanging our talismans, and preparing our central nervous systems for the absolute worst.
Until then, I want to leave you with a chilling thought to keep you awake tonight. We spent all this time wondering how the residents can defeat the monsters. But if the man in yellow is truly, genuinely terrified of the children's bones being moved, we have to ask, what if the residents of Fromville aren't the ones being trapped? What if they're the ones keeping something much, much worse locked inside?
Stay curious.
Stay chaotic.
And we'll see you on the Snark side.